first question is in relation to the recently signed Pyongyang gas agreement. As I understand, before I ask the questions, I want to commend the government, the minister, good, hardworking minister, and the government team, SNT, for getting this project signed off and gives confidence to the people of Papua New Guinea. My first question is, previously we were led to believe that Pyongyang was part of the PNG LNG project, and all the parties, including provincial governments and landowners, we all knew that the Pyongyang gas was part of the PNG LNG project. As it is now, it is not. Pyongyang is a separate project. Okay, if it is a separate project...
Honorable Governor, we have a point of order.
You
resume your seat. I'll member for about what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, opinion was never part of the PNG LNG project. Governor has got it wrong. Thank you.
Honorable Governor.
Earlier on, we were led to believe that Pyongyang was going to be part of the PNG LNG project, but it is not. That's what I'm saying. So let me finish my question. My question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, without these unnecessary interjections, which has nothing to do with the substance, my question is this. If it is a separate project as the state has signed, you're going to build under that new project a pipeline to utilize the gas into the Kutubu PNG LNG facilities, and of course the pipeline that goes to Gulf and Central Province. Now, this is a separate project, but you are using our PNG LNG facilities. For those of us who own the land, the landowners and the provincial government, what is there for us under the PNG LNG and under this new project, but using the facilities that we have under the PNG LNG? Do we have any benefits in terms of toll for use of facilities? We need to know. That's the first one. Second question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for Kutubu facilities, for Gobe, and for Kikori, these are oil fields facilities that have been depreciated over so many times, and they are aging. Can the state, through the good minister, talk to the developers for the provincial governments and landowner companies to own these aging facilities and participate in business? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Minister for Petroleum.
Thank you, Governor of Southern Islands, for the two questions he's asked. On the first question, initially there was some discussion centering around whether or not PNG LNG and Pyongyang could be a joint project. However, it was decided finally that they should be kept separate as two separate and distinct projects. So that was how the Pyongyang gas agreement has been signed. So in effect, PNG LNG and Pyongyang are now separate projects. However, having said that, for the purposes of reducing the operating costs, construction costs, also operating costs, and also maximizing the profitability, it was decided that it would be necessary for Pyongyang project to use some of the pre-existing infrastructure of PNG LNG. But wherever and whenever that happens, there are tolling arrangements in place so that the joint venture partners of Pyongyang will pay the joint venture partners of PNG LNG for the usage of the common facilities. So that's the situation. I assure the governor that the usage of these parts of the facilities will not be FOC or for free. There will be a tolling fee imposed and will be paid between the two separate projects. So I give that assurance to the governor. On the aging infrastructure, I'm not aware if there is any provision in the PNG LNG agreement for aged infrastructure, ownership of aged infrastructure to be transferred to the landowners, provincial government, and the state. I'm not aware if such a provision are there, and it would be unlikely to have such a provision there. I think if some of you will recall, it was for that very reason that when the Marape Basil government took over office about 3 years ago, my department initiated, with the approval of the National Executive Council, renegotiation of the concluded Papua Agreement to have, amongst other things, a provision which will say that when the costs, the capital outlays for the pipeline in the Papua LNG is paid down, the ownership of the pipeline should be transferred or sold to the provincial government, landowners, and the state. And then the state and the provincial government and the landowners can then use tolling to collect some extra revenue. And you will recall that Total has subsequently agreed to that in principle. So that understanding is in place for Papua. But I am not aware of a similar arrangement for PNG LNG. I doubt if there's such a provision in the PNG LNG agreement. I will have a look at it. If there is a provision, I will report. If there is none, I will not report, and that means my silence will mean that there is no provision. That is the status at the moment. However, if it is the will of the government that they want to look at buying over the aging, any parts of the aging infrastructure of the PNG LNG agreement, the government should initiate that discussions, and endorsements should be secured from the National Executive Council, and the potential can be explored. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.